So I thought I'd do a report on day 50 of lockdown and explain what the last 50 days has been like here. Well, personally, for us, it's not been too different from everyday life because we live rurally and we're preppers. So we don't have the social life that a lot of people our age might do. We don't involve ourselves with groups, and we're not commercial people. So we gave up shopping for fun, i.e. just because we can. Years ago now, we buy things out of necessity. My girlfriend sews and bakes and makes and grows. I do the same, but without the sewing and the baking. We are in a very different situation to most people in Spain because we were actually evicted almost by force from the land that we'd bought. A lot of us had, and this was occurring 2 days before the lockdown. So we'd actually moved 90% of our property out of our land into storage. Includes our bedroom, believe it or not. So we were left 50 days. All we've had here is our safari tent and a log cabin, a wooden cabin, which did house our fully fitted kitchen that I built. So I took out the kitchen and converted the cabin into a bedroom for myself, basically, and had to occupy another property around the corner for my girlfriend and the cat because there's simply not enough space here and there's no running water here now. We have water sparingly. So that's my personal circumstances. My personal circumstances are, as I say, very different. We have 3 lockups with our stuff in. No running water, no washing machine, no dishwasher. But we're all right. On a personal level, we're okay. Now I'll tell you about the lockdown, how we feel about the lockdown after 50 days. Well, it's barbaric, obviously. We can't really say anything than that. I've been out a few times. My girlfriend's been out more than me in the car. I choose to go out on the bike. And something interesting happened to me a few days ago. The last time I was out, I actually came off my bike on a roundabout next to a petrol station. I had a mind slip. I always slow down when I see a petrol station, especially if there's a corner because of the gas on the road. Well, I didn't because I was looking at the empty shops. Anyway, I came off and smashed myself in, smashed my hands up, smashed my shoulder up, my hip, my knee. And no, I wasn't wearing a mask because I was on the bike, and I don't wear a mask now anyway. No one came over. There were people walking around. I was opposite the police station. There was a policeman sitting in the car. I was laying in the middle of the road, not for very long, because you don't lay in the road after an accident. You get up because you don't want to be run over. And not a single person came over. They looked and they heard, because obviously you hear an impact like that. So I put that down to not wearing a mask. They looked, they saw I wasn't wearing a mask, and they all turned around and walked off and left me to pick the bike up on my own and take it to the side of the road. So that's the first part of lockdown. It's turned people into, well, if you're not wearing a mask here, people avoid you. If you have an accident and you're not wearing a mask, people avoid you. So, yeah, the other side of the lockdown, obviously total lockdown, it's brutal. We need products for home. We need, because we don't have the washing machine here now because it's in storage, we need to go to the laundrette. Obviously that's extra cost as well. There's no income coming in at the moment. We had a small business set up ready to run when we moved from here, actually. All the products are now sitting, gathering dust because got no market to sell them in. So that's a part of lockdown that I haven't really explained. It was going to be like a little cottage industry, actually, just to see whether or not we could make a bit of extra income this year. Well, that's out the window now. Luckily, unlike a lot of Spanish, we still have some money left, so we can buy food. And another interesting point about our lockdown, honestly, I can't convey that our situation is very, very unusual. Since the eviction notice was served, and it's all over Spain, this eviction notice was served, by the way, for people living on land, in mobile homes, in log cabins, in safari tents. If it's an organised site like ours is, with a restaurant, a swimming pool, activities, etc., they've shut them all down. Now, because of the eviction, they tried to kick us out 2 days before the lockdown. We refused. I actually refused. We now don't have to pay any rent for the land. We didn't pay rent anyway. We actually paid towards electricity and water. It was only €120 a month, and that was unlimited water and unlimited electricity. Well, now we don't have to pay any of this. So effectively, we're living in lockdown free. Which sounds great, doesn't it? Until you would realise that we don't actually have our home here. So this is how it's affected us. We're very lucky. We don't have jobs to go to. We don't have children to look after. We've got one sick cat, and that's it. But he's quite manageable, and we're very resourceful. But in terms of it being a day 50, how would I describe the nation now? Well, because we're rural and because we have, I'd say, quite quiet people around us. They're not, we're rural people here. They're not city people. They're not town people. They just seem to be getting on with it. There has been some instances where we know people are hungry. We don't know what's happening outside of our area, apart from in our local city or town, if you like, because there's just no communication, none. The local press that we look for information are like every other media outlet now. They don't give concise information about anything. Give you an example, there was a plane crash trying to repatriate Spanish citizens from Bolivia to here, and it crashed. I think it crashed yesterday or this morning, I can't remember when. The news report said 4 people had died on the plane, and then a further one had died later, and all of the crew had died as well. But it didn't actually say how many survivors there were. But it presumed that there were survivors, but it didn't tell you there were survivors. Just a simple news piece. So there isn't clarity of information coming from anywhere. One minute the government says you can go out, next minute they say no, you can't. The media is reporting around the world that Spain has eased restrictions on its lockdown. Well, that's partially true, but not true at all. You can go out and exercise, depending on your age and your status, between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. if you're over 70. If you're a child, you're allowed to go out during the day for a maximum, I believe, of an hour, accompanied by an adult. And if you're an adult under 70, you're allowed out between 8 and 10 p.m. in the evening when there's no sun. So when you read a story that says the media, Spain is easing its lockdown, it's not. It's almost worse, because you still can't have 2 in a car. You still can't drive anywhere, even if you live together. People were fined recently, a couple was fined who lived together for shopping together, to give you an idea. So I'm finding it difficult to really categorise how it feels in this situation. You know how I feel because of my YouTube videos, but how this nation feels after 50 days of a total Stasi lockdown. I guess I can only tell everybody when I can speak to people in town I know, people on the coast I know, understand about their businesses, their incomes, their livelihoods, their mental state. At the moment, I'm living in a bit of a bubble. I put myself in this bubble purposely, and I'm pretty glad I did, because I don't want to be around the public, and I don't want to be around the public ever again, to be honest with you. I've given up on them, which is sad. I've not given up on, how should I put it, like-minded people like myself, but I've definitely given up on the general public. After 50 days of this, they've not even whimpered. Spain's issued more fines than any other country on earth, has the most draconian lockdown laws of any country on earth, I believe, other than perhaps South Africa. So day 50, to me personally, they've just ruined 45 million people's lives. And still, we have friends everywhere, all over the world. Not a single person has come forward to say they know of a healthy adult picked up this so-called virus and died. So we all know, don't we, what this is. This isn't a lockdown. This is a war on humanity. Cheers.